Hey gang. So, I haven't been putting out much content lately. Frankly, the world's been so exhausting, I've had to focus on my own mental health. In fact, I've even recorded a few videos, but haven't been able to work out the time or energy to edit or put them out. But, I came across something that was so... what's the word I'm looking for here? Bizarre, that I just had to do a quick response. Web personality Josh Bernstein has a few thoughts about the Oxford school shooting, which was allegedly committed by one Ethan Crumbley. Not only, according to Josh, was it a false flag, but, well, let's let him explain.
They went after the parents because they're anti-Second Amendment.
No. They, meaning law enforcement, went after Ethan's parents, James and Jennifer Crumbley, because they felt they were somewhat complicit in the attack because they ignored warning signs and did not secure the firearm that Ethan used in his attack. When the school board confronted the parents with their concern, they did nothing and insisted he be sent back to class. We all know what happened after that.
Now, yes, the father got the gun for the kid, and the kid went out and did what he did.
Did what he did? Josh, I know you're a huge fan of your Second Amendment rights, so you should be willing to say what he did with that freedom. He walked through the school with his firearm and in less than 5 minutes was able to discharge his pistol over 30 times and proceeded to kill 4 other students and injure another 7. Don't sugarcoat it with, he did what he did. If you're so protective of people's rights to own firearms, then own what he did with that right.
Own that shit. Own it! What do you think was gonna happen, huh?
Anyway, let's get to the truly bizarre part of Josh's rant and find out his theory why he thinks school shootings like the one at the Oxford school occur.
Now, look, I said this on another show today. I wouldn't put it past the intel agencies to have paid some of these parents to possibly have their children do things like this.
Yeah, Josh, with a straight face, just said that he believes that parents will be willing to have their children commit mass murder for a big payday. Yes, we'd like your child to end the lives of several of their peers, spend the majority of their lives in prison, if not killed outright by law enforcement, be considered a monster by the rest of society, and of course, you'll be social pariahs for raising a child capable and willing to do such horrendous acts. Now, how would you like to be paid? Cash or check? Look, I'm a parent, and I can't think of any price that I'd be willing to pay to turn my child into a mass murderer like that. And that doesn't even make any sense for this particular case. The parents have been arrested and charged with 4 counts of manslaughter and are looking at up to 60 years in prison for their crimes. If Josh is correct and they were paid to send their child out to do this, you know they could turn on a dime to cover their asses. You don't think they would use any defense available, including turning on the people who paid for their son's rampage in an attempt to reduce their sentences, which would be a huge risk for the eponymous they that Josh is concerned about. Also, it doesn't seem to be working. How many school shootings have there been in the state since Columbine, and no major, meaningful firearm legislation has come from any of them? Somehow, they are both pulling the strings to the most insidious conspiracies ever, and at the same time are incredibly incompetent in getting anything actually done.
Now, I'm sorry. You're telling me that the U.S. government, the same government that gave us Amtrak,
not to mention the Susan B. Anthony dollar,
is behind some of the darkest, most far-reaching conspiracies on the planet?
If you think about how much they are able to get away with, and how much they are not actually able to, do, it makes you kind of wonder if this conspiracy theory of his makes a whole bunch of sense.
I know what you're thinking, Josh. That's really going pretty far. But you know what? If you look at Australia, if you look at Germany, if you look at Austria, if you look at all these other countries around the world that, don't have guns, they can't defend themselves.
Yeah, we can't defend ourselves against other people who don't have firearms. The usual NRA talking point is,
we know that the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun.
Personally, I go with the idea of maybe, preventing the bad guy from getting their hands on a firearm in the first place. I'm up in the backwards socialist dictatorship of Canada, and after our biggest school shooting, the L'École Polytechnique massacre, we decided to do something about it and severely limited the type and amount of firearms allowed to be held by civilians. And this may surprise you, but the murder rate is much lower here than in the US. Now, I realize that correlation does not always equal causation, but reducing the ownership of a tool that makes murder exceptionally easy to commit might, just might, be one of the contributing factors that makes murder happen less often. Some food for thought.
America has a robust Second Amendment, and the left have been trying to come after our guns for the longest time. So don't think that the Fascist Bureau of Intimidation...
I'm sorry. Wait, what? Can you say that again?
The Fascist Bureau of Intimidation...
Oh, that's clever. He took the acronym of the Federal Bureau of Investigation and played it around for his own use. Funny.
Good one. Yep, that's a good one.
Look, when making fun of the FBI, there's of course one, and only one, way to play with that acronym. Classic. Not to get off track, but I would like to note that that shirt is a woman's cut. So, incredibly sexist phrasing. Good job on equality, I guess? Anyway, where were we?
So don't think that the Fascist Bureau of Intimidation wouldn't sink that low to try to set up school shootings in order to put the Second Amendment back into the form of the public square, and then them try to what? Oh, we've got to take away everyone's guns, you know. Why, we try to inject them with a deadly shot? You got to think, folks. There's always something behind the scenes.
Wow. Not surprised he found a way to throw his anti-vax stuff in there as well. Yeah, folks, the thing that's going on behind the scenes, wow, I'm using finger quotes a lot in this video today, is that people want to reduce the number of deaths in the population. Both the ones caused by spreading a plague that's killing hundreds of thousands of your fellow countrymen, or, you know, straight up murder. I know, shocking, isn't it? Apparently, governments trying to reduce the deaths of citizens is somehow offensive to Josh here. The biggest problem with Josh's conspiracies is how easily they would fall apart. False flag operations like the one he's describing need multiple people to fall in line, and if any of them slip up or decide not to go through with it, that will expose everything. Just one parent deciding not to go along with the "I'm going to have my kid murder a bunch of people" plan and reporting them to the authorities instead, or a shooter in custody saying, "Yeah, my parents gave me a gun and told me to go murder my classmates after being given a briefcase full of cash," and the whole conspiracy falls apart. Josh, I understand. You love your firearms. I get it. They're fun. My wife grew up as a shooter and loves that hobby. But the sad fact is, they're designed for the purpose of ending lives. What needs to be decided is what's more important: saving human lives by regulating the tools that make ending those lives so much easier, or accepting shootings like this as the price of freedom. But yeah, you go ahead and believe it's all just a huge government conspiracy.
Wouldn't it be great if everybody had a gun? Had a gun! Nobody'd ever get shot, cause everybody'd have a gun. Makes sense! Wouldn't it be great if everybody had a gun? We can go out and shoot things, we can go out and shoot things, we can go out and shoot things.